Hello everyone, and welcome to this brand new episode of Next Level Drumming. Once again, my name is Peter, and today I wanted to talk to you about something very exciting. This new Roland sample pad called the SPD-SX. I've had this device for a couple of weeks now, and I'm actually very impressed by it. Not only because it's a very good sample pad, but it's actually quite a lot more than just that. And at first glance it might not seem very different, but I wanted to talk to you today about in what many different ways and kinds you can use this device more as a central audio hub for every drummer. So let's dive right in. So as always, this is my drum kit, first half, and as always I'm working on it. This is right here in my room, and there's all bits and pieces. I'm changing heads right now, so this head still needs to be changed. But with the coming of the new SPD-SX here, I had to change my setup a little bit, and as you can see right here, I had to make a special double clamp system to attach the SPD-SX to my cymbal stand right over here. It's actually quite a little bit bigger than the old SPD-S, which may make it necessary for you to make some adjustments if you're changing the old for the new. So in terms of placement, I have it right here on the next right hand side, and of course the SPD-SX is a very good sample pad in first. It has 2 GB of memory internal, which you can load up from a USB software utility that you can download from Roland's website, which is called the Wave Manager. It's a very basic piece of software, but it makes the first step of loading samples in the device much easier, so that's always good. And I also am using it right now in my kit as a sampler, and also to make it a kind of mini electronic drum kit. But of course it's much more than that, and that's what this video is about. So one of the first things you'll notice when you look at the brand new SPD-SX is the new tempo indicator light. It also has its own start and stop button and a dedicated volume control. The good thing about this is that the tempo here can be assigned, predefined to a kit. So for example, when I start this click right here, this is the song, The Place to Go from the band All Comes Down I play in. And when I go to a different kit, this is Moving On, it has a different tempo, which is 70 in this case. So that's very handy, but most importantly, what's good about this device is that it has the ability to route your audio to different destinations. So for example, I'm routing my click track to my headphones and to my bandmates via the sub-out output. I'll come to that later. But the audience will not be able to hear my click track when I play live, so that's very handy. What also is good to know about the click track is that with the coming of the click track, SPD-SX effects can be hooked up and synced to the tempo of a kit. So for example, when I go to kit effects right here and select a effect, it has what's called these variations of effects with a step in it. So this is a normal flanger and this is a step flanger. And what's cool about this is that the step flanger can be synced to the tempo. So when you're playing a song in tempo, the effect can actually be synced to that tempo. As some of you might have noticed in one of my previous videos, I used to have a Tama rhythm watch on my hi-hat, which was my click track and metronome system. But the SPD-SX has replaced that because it also has a very cool metronome feature. And what also is cool is that you can actually see what song you're playing. So with text, I can see that this is the song Moving On and not just a number 3. What's also good to know about the SPD-SX, as most of Roland's equipment, is that you can place different kits in a kit chain, which is sort of a synonym for a set list. So for example, if I want to play a set with Moving On as the first song and Fill My Mind as the second song, I can make a kit chain which jumps from kit 3 to 6 to 7 to 9 to 4, and you can make, I think, 10 kit chains in total. So that's very cool as well. What's also good to know is that the SPD-SX also has a foot switch connector. With that foot switch, I'm using a FS6 for that. It's a double foot switch, and with that you can control different functions as well as the metronome, so you can turn it off and on, but also jump to the next kit in your kit chain with that. So that's very cool. So as I mentioned before, the Roland SPD-SX has different audio routing capabilities, which is very handy in a live situation. It has 3 outputs, a headphones out, a master out, and a second master out, which is called a sub out. And I can predefine which sounds go to what location. So for example, I'm in my settings right here, and I can choose that this pad sound will go to the master out and to my headphones, but not to the sub out. And you can also set that for the click track. So the click track will go to the headphones out and the sub out, but not to the master out, so the audience won't hear that. It also has a audio input, which can be used to actually record sounds as a sample into the SPD-SX, but when you're not using that function, you can actually use it to monitor audio signals to your headphones. So you can define that the audio input goes to your headphones only. The device does have a little bug though. If you've set it up to only route audio from the audio input to the headphones, sampling won't work anymore. So if you want to sample, if you want to create a new sample from the audio input, you gotta reset that setting to also route audio from the audio in to the master output. So the sub out is a very cool feature as well. It's basically a second master output. And in my case, I'm using it to send audio to my bandmates. They hear exactly what the audience hears, with one exception. Via the sub-out, my band members can also hear my click track, which is very cool if you want to send the sub-out to a monitor table and use it in that way. So as you can see, the Roland SPD-SX is also a very good monitor solution, a sort of an audio hub. There's one thing you need to keep in mind though. If you are using the audio input for a monitor signal, the audio inputs are unbalanced. So if you connect a balanced signal to the SPD-SX, the entire signal will become unbalanced. If the signal comes from the front of house in a live situation and has to travel long distances, this might be a problem for interference. But there's one upside: the only one that will be hearing that interference is you. So that's the only problem there. If you want to prevent this, there is a device called a debalancer available, but it's a separate device which needs its own power, so it's not very handy, but in most cases a unbalanced signal will suffice. So what else is new in the SPD-SX? Well, it has one additional trigger input, which means that you can hook up a total of 2 stereo triggers to it, or split those signals up into 4 single zone pads, and with that you can basically create your own mini drum kit, mini electronic drum kit. I've got a extra bass drum trigger right here, which is a Roland's KD7 hooked up to a Tama pedal right here, so I put that down here. I also have a trigger here on my left side here, which triggers a snare drum sound in different kits. And also I'm using a stereo snare trigger from Roland here on my snare, which can be used for various functions. For example, I can put a hand clap or a tambourine under my snare sound, or even make other samples mute when I hit my snare drum. So as I said before, you can now load in samples onto the SPD-SX via the supplied wave manager by Roland via your computer. It also has the audio inputs on the back to record audio as samples into the device. It also has a third option, and that's the USB port on the back to connect USB flash disks or USB drives into the device itself and load samples in via that way. The only thing you will need to keep in mind then is that the sample files will need to be placed in the root directory of the USB stick. So all in all, the Roland SPD-SX has proved to me that it's a very functional device, and not only a very good sample pad, but it's much more. It's a personal monitoring system in the ways of an audio hub. It receives and transmits audio any way I like, which is very good. It has a built-in metronome and click track, which can be used to make your own set lists inside the SPD-SX, and even route your click audio to your bandmates via the extra sub-out output, which is great. And with the coming of more inputs and more ways to trigger sounds, it also has become much more easy to create like a mini drum electronic drum kit, which is very cool as well. So thanks for watching Next Level Drumming this episode. More is on the way. The next video I want to make will be about making your own dedicated cable snake for drummers, which will also increase and speed up build-up time and make a more consistent kit setup in a live situation. So until then, take care.